Introducing our new car, 151. This was a shell we bought from another competitor on the grids. It was a rolling shell, meant to be in ready-to-race conditions, but wasn't. After our crap Brands Hatch and our disastrous dyno, somehow my thought process came around to the best answer is to starting another car.
With a month to go?
3 weeks to go.
3 weeks to go to a race meeting.
So I'm not really sure how that process worked out, but all of our ideas seemed good at the time. But anyway, so we took our good engine that wasn't good at Brands Hatch, but in theory was good, put it back onto the SU carbs, put that into this car. Should we pop this up? And then Nick set about building this car. It needed brake lines running, fuel lines running, the fire extinguisher plumbing in, seat fitting, harness fitting, all the wiring needed to be redone, brakes, suspension, obviously the engine and new gearbox that we got from David in.
Which requires modification to do that.
Look at that, look at the cameraman's phone going off, that is shocking, that's a fine. We decided to give ourselves fail-safe cooling problems and put in a bigger oil cooler and 2 radiators. So the downside to that is potentially you have plumbing issues and you can have airlocks, and also the extra weight, because you've got the extra weight of a radiator and the extra fluid the radiator is carrying. So there's probably an extra 4 kilos there. But anyway.
Yeah.
Nick finished this car 5 o'clock on the Friday evening with no testing, no shakedown for racing on Saturday. So that was a bit tighter than I'd like, but it'd be nice to test it somewhere. The problem is this one isn't road legal, so we wouldn't be able to take it on the road and test it. So that's where we're at. We could tell just from pushing it around that it was a lot lighter.
Even with our heavier engines?
Even with our big fat engines. Because our engines weigh about 30 kilos more than an A-Series engine. So we're straight away putting ourselves at a disadvantage there. Because a lot of the other cars are having to run ballast to
bring them up
make
to
the weight limits. That's definitely not a problem we have. We're carrying the ballast.
Some of us are.
Yeah, It's very rude. It's very rude.
151, it's a newer shell, as in it's a heritage shell, so it's not had the historical welding patches and filler that a lot of the cars end up having in their 40, 50 years existence. So it started off as a better shell. We've had to do some alterations, so in order to get the 1500 engine into this shell, you've got to make alterations on the front cross member to allow the engine to get in. There's an alteration to be done in the passenger's footwell. And this one's also had the whole heater tray. There's normally a shelf that goes through here. That's had all that removed, which is brilliant for access, but compromises a little bit of stability. So we have got a modification to put in there to try and put that back in. But the other, learning from what we've learned on 150, we know that cooling's always been an issue, and there's, you pick up on things that other people are doing in the paddock as well. So we've run a double radiator system. So we run 2 Mark II Golf radiators because they've got good capacity and they're readily available and you don't pay through the nose for them. But coupled with that, we've done a cowling system, which is fun and tricky to do, but it mates up with the bonnet, so hopefully all the air is directed where it needs to go. And that's also backed up with a couple of additional cooling fans on there as well. So that's some of the things we've done to the engine to try on what we've learned from it. We've also, as we put the engine together, tried to go as light as possible because we know that this engine is about 30 plus kilos heavier than a standard A-Series engine. So things like aluminium components where we can, so there's several aluminium components throughout there. And I think we had it was about an 18 kilo saving of weight just on the engine components, which is quite considerable. Ignore the back chat. Other things that are different to this, so there's additional suspension mounts which we are allowed to run. So that just gives a bit more stability on the handling. Different brake pedal set, brake reservoir setup, master cylinder setup. So that allows us to change the brake bias from the front to the rear of the car we're not allowed to adjust that in the car, so that's a sort of a testing and getting the settings sorted as we learn from that. At the back end, underneath the car, we can't see it obviously, again there's some more additional suspension mounts which are permitted, but one difference that we haven't got, that we have got on the other car, is we haven't got adjustable shock absorbers. That's the kind of thing that we can look to develop as the car develops in the next coming seasons. So this is our list we're working from. Swap the battery because we're going to do a fuel saving there. Got to check things like fuel pressure, fuel tank capacity, fit a door mirror, change the brake master cylinder because we found out at Cadwell that the brake master cylinder was letting by. It was an older cylinder and it had a score in it, so that was an interesting one to find out, but we found it. Breather on the gearbox. So the gearbox that we've got fitted in the car, which is from our new contact, David. After each race, and we actually found it on 150 as well, it's not unusual to find a little bit of oil on the top of the gearbox inspection, the access panel on the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that, we're going to take a pipe off that, fit a breather to that and run that into the catch tank there. So the catch tanks we've got to run, and that's part of the regulations, just so that if there is an excess of oil, you're not going to spill that over the track. So that's another modification we've got to do there. So gearbox breather, fortunately, with all that cut out, it's fairly accessible. You can see the sooty mark around the outside. Yep. That's basically where the exhaust gases are hitting. So we're going to use that almost as a template, and we're going to open that exhaust port up in the exhaust manifold to that, because that's the maximum area that we can, it's effective. I think I did about 22. Yeah, 22.